Welcome inside the Coach's Den. I'm the play-by-play voice for the High Country Grizzlies, Mackie Gallagher, joined by the man of the hour, head coach Scott Meserve. And Coach, you lost your first game to the Richmond Roughriders, 34-19. It was a pretty good performance on both ends of the field. I thought so. But one guy who gave you trouble was wide receiver for the Roughriders, Rashad Carter. Had 7 receptions, 133 yards, including 3 touchdowns. 2 of those touchdowns came on the first play of their offensive possessions. When you watch film on him throughout the week, what did you see that maybe raised any alarms, and were you prepared for anything that Rashad Carter might do during practice before the first game?
We just had mental breakdowns during the game. We've discussed this as a team and individuals, what happened, how we can fix it, we're going to move on to. But overall, all the adjustments have been made already to move on from that situation.
And Rakeem Cato, the quarterback for the Richmond Roughriders, he played most of his snaps out of the shotgun. And I remember in the post-game interview, you talked about how that extra depth added on to the difficulty of your D linemen or linebackers getting to him, because in arena football, every second counts. And I understand that you practiced under center for most of the week last week in preparation for this first game. Now, we clearly saw that Rakeem Cato's depth provided some trouble. But for the defensive lineman, he also scrambled a lot when the pocket began to collapse. Were you aware of his dual threat ability?
It really wasn't a dual threat ability. It was more, in arena football, tradition quarterbacks go under center. That's how it's always been. And that extra 3-4 yards deeper, we had to alter what we were doing up front with our schemes during the game. We made adjustments at halftime and fixed everything, but I didn't think it was a big deal till we got into the game, and then we had to make that adjustment. But true AFL quarterbacks are under center.
And for your team, the High Country Grizzlies, Darren Daniel and the offense got off to a little bit of a slow start, but as the second quarter began and into the second half, the offense began picking up more and more momentum. Darren Daniel, along with many other wide receivers such as Alex Coleman, A.J. Stevenson, Jerron Bryant, showed a lot of promise in the game. Jerron Bryant had 1 touchdown pass from Darren Daniel, and he also played some of defense. Can you explain what went into moving Jerron Bryant from the offense to the defense later on in the game?
We were in a situation where we lost the whole middle between my nose guard and my Mac, and we had to make an adjustment, and Jerron's Scooby has done it before in years past when I've had him on my team, and I mentioned to him, he said, let's go. And he's a team player, and he made the adjustment, and he can play any position we need to on the field.
So he's just an all-around great player.
Yes.
And you mentioned losing your nose guard in Brandon Sutton. Can you describe a little bit what that injury entailed? And I saw that he left the game on a stretcher. Do you know anything about his condition now?
He had a dislocated elbow. It was reset. We're waiting for the eval today to find out what's going on. But right now he's day-to-day. But losing an athlete at that caliber hurts any team. Brandon was our anchor in the middle, and then I lost Chase 2 plays later at Mac linebacker. I lost my whole middle. And I've had those guys together for 2 years, so that makes a major role in our defense.
And Brandon Sutton, like I've just mentioned, he did leave the game on a stretcher, and typically for upper body injuries, you don't see many players leaving on a stretcher. What was the reason for the stretcher coming out and helping him exit the field?
I'm not really sure. I know that wasn't in place when he left, so I don't know about the stretcher. But I know everyone was praying for him, and we'll find out today as far as his actual injury.
And we talked about it a little bit on the broadcast during the game, and you just said how much of a positive guy he is, how much of an anchor he is to the team. What kind of mindset did he have on the sideline? Even though that he was injured, was he still showing his leadership ability? Was he still being a positive player for this Grizzlies team?
He actually came to practice last night and was a role model last night in practice and getting everyone going on practice from the sidelines. So he's always going to be a part of the Grizzlies. He's one of our faces who lives here in town. He's a major community role. But he was very emotional during the game. But he came back last night at practice and was with the team.
And I'm going to transition over to the other injury you just mentioned with Chase Blackburn. that was more of a subtle injury than Brandon Sutton. Sutton had a little trouble getting off the field after his injury, but it was hard to tell that Blackburn wasn't in the game. A few plays later, I realized that he has missed consecutive plays. Could you talk about what went into his injury, what part of his body got injured?
I'm not sure actually the actual injury because he hasn't been. He's evaluated today as well. It's a knee injury. I don't think it's major damage to it. There's some swelling in it. We're concerned about that. But the reason why you didn't notice was because D. Barry stepped in and played both sides of the ball for me. That's why no one noticed.
And I'm going to transition over to the wide receiving core with Alice Coleman, Edward Sauce, Victorian. Those are your main receivers in motion. You switch them out quite a bit between plays. Is there some kind of formation you like to use a certain player as your receiver in motion? Because it seemed like Sauce got more snaps while as a receiver in motion, but Coleman was also a close second.
The major thing that we ran into was they were not bringing a blitz linebacker. They were dropping everybody into coverage. They were playing that gray area that they can get by with. They weren't breaking the rules. I'm not accusing anyone of that, but there was that gray area where we had to change our philosophy and now get the high motion more coming across the middle to keep the linebackers where they're at to open up the deep threats.
And the story of the week for this Roughriders defense was the defensive line made up of former Arena Football Defensive Player of the Year Keontae Hollis and Greg Hardy. How do you think your offensive line did holding up against them?
Once we got settled in the first quarter, I thought we were fine. Overall, the first quarter was a learning experience. We had some issues last week with practice, but I thought after the first quarter we settled in, we were okay.
And what were some of the issues with practice you just mentioned?
We had to cancel Wednesday's practice due to the snow and had to reformat the whole practice schedule.
All right, we'll be right back after this for more of the Coaches Show.
Step away from the television and step outside yourself in Boone, North Carolina.
I've coached a lot of football games in my life. The win at Michigan was big for us. When I took that short ride on the shoulders of our team, we knew that we'd done something really, really special. The hard work and dedication and commitment that nobody sees is what leads to great victories. That's the same thing you'll get at Discovery Chevrolet. That's the reason I agreed to be their spokesman. Discovery Chevrolet is where relationships matter.
Welcome back inside the Coach's Den here at Swiss Mountain Village. I'm here with fullback D. Barry, and I want to talk about your background a little bit. Where did you play college ball, D?
The University of Arkansas at Pine Bluff.
How was that? Did you enjoy playing there?
Yeah, man. I played defensive end all 4 years there. I didn't start till my sophomore year of playing football. Actually, in my freshman season of playing, I got the game-winning sack. Fumble in our first game ever of me playing college football.
That was your first game ever playing college football. You got the game-winning sack fumble.
Game-winning sack fumble, and it was great, man. I enjoyed all 4 years of college, and I'm here.
Where does that sack fumble rank among your top career accomplishments?
Man, that's like special for me, being that my first college game and making a big play like that for my team, it it's going to forever ring bells in my head. Like,
And you mentioned that you played defensive end. You're one of the 5 returning players to the Grizzlies this season.
Yes.
You were on the defensive line for the Grizzlies in the 2017 season last year, but now you're converted to fullback. Can you talk about that conversion or transformation of position?
Well, coming in, Coach Meserve, he already kind of put a bug in my ear, telling me that he gonna need me to, convert over and, kind of help the offense out a little bit. I don't have a problem with it because, kind of an athlete, kind of versatile where I can, play multiple positions on the field as well. So I didn't really have a problem with it. Now it's just, getting better and better every day, each week, coming in.
And most of your career, we mentioned you played on the defensive line.
Yeah.
Now you're the fullback for the Grizzlies.
Yeah.
Can you describe what the hardest part of that transformation was? Because I have to imagine that going from defense to offense, there has to be at least one thing that was a little bit of a struggle.
Well, really now is was learning the plays because, going from learning all the defensive plays, knowing all the defense, calling the plays, to learning the offense, that was the biggest transition I had. It wasn't me coming to play fullback. It was just learning the plays. But now, like I said, as the weeks go by, everything gets better and as time goes on. So.
And throughout the game, we saw that you started playing defense again.
Yeah.
What happened on the sideline for that? We mentioned a couple people went out.
Yeah.
The coach just come over and say, hey, we need you on defense?
Well, like I said before, Coach Meserve already had told me I was going to have to go both ways. He was looking forward to it, so I had already had it in my mind, and I was already prepared for it. So really, it wasn't no big deal, because that was my primary position, playing defense, and fullback was just an addition to it. So now put it together, and it wasn't a problem.
And to start off the game, Darren Daniel through the air had 139 yards.
Yeah.
Rushing was a little bit harder. It was harder to get going, but we saw you come into play, especially inside the 5-yard line now.
Yeah.
When the Grizzlies get the ball inside the red zone, do you have a feeling that, hey, at least one of these plays, this ball is going to be coming my way and I need to make something happen?
Oh, no doubt, man. When we get in them type of situations, I'm gonna always look forward to getting the ball, It's just one of them times, like, either he gonna keep it or he gonna give it to me, you know what I'm saying? Or we're gonna run some type of play action or a sweep, or it don't matter what it is. I always look forward to getting the ball, just anything to help my team out.
Well, that's D. Barry. We'll be back with more Inside the Coach's Den right here at Swiss Mountain Village right after this.
Hi, I'm Bob Brewer, owner of Anytime Fitness and offensive line coach for the High Country Grizzlies.
And I'm Dexter Jackson, wide receiver for the High Country Grizzlies and personal fitness trainer.
We have a new, larger facility with 24/7 access.
Within our training program, we provide a focus on your personal goals for a healthier lifestyle and create customizable training programs.
Come in for a free consultation and get a fitness plan tailored just for you.
Come join us at Anytime Fitness Boom!
Welcome back to Inside the Coach's Den here at Swiss Mountain Village. I'm Mackie Gallagher, joined once again by head coach Scott Meserve, and we're going to go back to last week against the Richmond Roughriders. Before the game, earlier that week, you said how this defense was going to be one that no team wants to reckon with, and they proved themselves. They made a lot of good plays. Can you describe some of those great things that you've seen from your defense in the last game?
Well, Jerron Holloman led us with 6 tackles. Ethan Farmer had 5. Except for 4 big plays on defense, they didn't have much of an offensive scheme. In the second half, we were tied 14-14 after we made our adjustments. People are saying how, well, Richmond's not as good as they were last year, but no one's given us credit that we're not a bad team. Once we get this clicking, we should be pretty good. We left 30 points on the field that no one's looking at. 8 points by a kicker who have made adjustments to his workouts. And offensively, we got stopped twice inside the 5-yard line. If the kicker makes the 8 points, which he will this week, that last drive, we're going down, we're scoring, we're winning the game.
And I want to talk about Ethan Farmer a little bit. He made one big tackle. It was a running play from the Roughriders. The running back just ran right down the middle, and Ethan Farmer just put his left arm out and just caught a full-grown man running full speed with one arm. Can you just talk about Ethan Farmer a little bit as a player and his strength, because he's one of the 5 returning players for the Grizzlies, and I can only imagine how much of a role he's playing on the defensive line.
Ethan and I had a conversation back after last season about changing him as far as his body, his mindset. Go back to when you were at UNC, when you played at Chapel Hill. I want that guy back. And he's transformed himself back. I thought he played well compared to last year. He's still got a little bit more to go. But to have 5 tackles in a game on your first game, he's going to be one of our leaders on defense.
And Jerron Bryant, he had a touchdown catch on offense, but he also played some both ways, had 2 tackles on the game. What made you decide to put Jerron Bryant playing both ways?
Scooby is a exciting person. After the touchdown, he did the backflip in the end zone. He's a crowd pleaser, and his high emotion is so awkward but so in tune that gives defenses a hard time. He's been playing the game a while, and he's great with the community. He's great with the kids. He's a fan favorite, but he's an athlete that everyone wants on their team.
And on the offensive line on the other side of the spectrum, Zachariah Taylor had another touchdown for the Grizzlies when he recovered a fumble in the end zone. Zachariah Taylor, I remember he was at the tryout back in October. Can you just talk about him a little bit as a player, because he's a new face to the high country?
He had his ups and downs on Saturday, but I believe Will Dancy and Cap Kearney did very well on the offensive line. Lawrence Keys, rookie from Pembroke, stepped up at center, held his own really well. But I'm looking forward to great things for Dancy and Keys and Kearney in the future.
And another big person on this Grizzlies defense is Kareem Smith, another big player acquisition for the Grizzlies this season. He had a huge sack that resulted in a fumble, and he just showed off his great playmaking ability. Can you just talk about him once again as a player, because a lot of these faces are new to the high country?
Actually, that wasn't a sack because he was rolling out. They called it a run. So it was a tackle for loss, which hurts his stats. But Kareem plays for the Baltimore Brigade. I'm pretty sure he'll be going back to the Brigade at some point, since the AFL has finalized the contract deals. But he has given me his word that he'll be here for 3-4 weeks. Kareem has been in the NFL. He's been in the CFL. He's been in the. He's a person that helps other players learn the game. He's been around a long time. So he's more of a leader by what he does, and he helps the guys in the weight room as well.
And one more player I want to touch on this Grizzlies defense is Josh Victorian. He had trouble guarding Rashad Carter a little bit, but he also saved a few touchdowns later on in the game, a couple pass breakups and great coverage. His background, has he always been a defensive back, or did he play on offense?
No, he's always been a defensive back. The problem that we ran into was that the depth of the quarterback, because he's looking for that second move to be there and jump the second move. That's how the AFL does it. That's how true quarterbacks in the AFL does it. Your second move, you're jumping. By him going back 7, 8, 9 yards, now we had to worry about that third move. So he's been around. He's been in the AFL. He's been several NFL camps. So.
And we'll be right back with more Inside the Coach's Den at Swiss Mountain Village right after this.
How can something be so close to everywhere you want to be, but also possess the peace and quiet you desire in a true Appalachian mountain setting? That's what you'll find at Swiss Mountain Village, nestled in a tranquil valley just off the Blue Ridge Parkway and very close to downtown Blowing Rock. For over 35 years, Swiss Mountain Village has been a haven for high country guests and families, a place where the relaxing is easy, a place where you can fish from the fully stocked trout lake or just rock your cares away on the front porch. Then, when it's time for high country activities, you are close to everything. Swiss Mountain Village is only just a few minutes from the Blue Ridge Parkway and Moses Cone Memorial Park. Also, just a few minutes to downtown Blowing Rock, Tanger Shops on the Parkway, Appalachian Ski Mountain and other area ski resorts, Tweetsee Railroad, Appalachian State University in downtown Boone, Grandfather Mountain, and many more. Swiss Mountain Village offers cabins made of rough-hewn logs, complemented by a native stone fireplace. The Swiss chalets feature a unique architectural design. The stairway to the loft actually takes you over the stone fireplace. All of the Swiss Mountain properties are completely furnished with towels, linens, complete kitchens, washers and dryers, gas logs, free Wi-Fi, and cable TV. There's also a clubhouse and outside barbecue. 1, 2, and 3 bedroom plus studio units are available, accommodating from 2 to 8 people. Swiss Mountain Village offers 12 beautiful acres that will become your high country home away from home. It's where you and your family will create great memories and a place where you will return to time and time again. To learn more about Swiss Mountain Village, visit swissmountain.com or call 888-785-1188.
Welcome back inside the Coach's Den here at Swiss Mountain Village. Once again, I'm Mackie Gallagher, joined by the man of the hour, Coach Scott Meserve. And Coach, I just want to talk about a little bit about this week's practice. What are y'all doing in Sofield? What are y'all doing preparing differently for this game than last game?
Well, as of right now, we're on the same schedule because Mother Nature is throwing another storm at us. They're predicting another 6 to 8 inches of snow tonight, so I'm pretty sure we won't be able to practice tonight, just like we did last week. And I'm sure Florida doesn't have this problem, but we'll adjust later in the week. We'll add Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and do a walkthrough on Saturday as well. The guys have been really good as far as adjusting to the schedule. We had a good one last night. We went 10 to midnight last night. Tonight, if we go, we'll be late, but we're going to go every day from here on out to get things wrapped up.
Now, missing that one practice last week, could you tell that hurt you in the game against the Roughriders?
It didn't. It really didn't. It just, as a first-year head coach, it's just something else I got to deal with. And everything that's happened in the past 2 weeks is, okay, let's adjust to this and go. And the guys have been great. I've communicated with them all as far as practice goes, changing the times, changing where we got to be, meetings. The guys have been really receptive. It's a different team this year.
And do you make the call on if practice is canceled or if it stays, or is that the facility's call?
I do it on the safety of my players. I'm not going to put them at jeopardy of trying to drive anywhere.
Are a lot of your players in Boone, or are they in the surrounding areas?
We have about 6 guys that commute in. Most of them live either here at Swiss Mountain, or there's another house that I have at my house. But the majority of my guys live here at Swiss Mountain Village.
And let's go into next week a little bit. The Florida Tarpons, this is their 7th season as a team. In the previous 6 seasons, they've been the 5 league championships, not missing the playoffs once. Is there anything that may cause any concern for you this upcoming week when you're watching film? Hey, we should look out for this, be on the lookout for this from the Tarpons?
The quarterback's been around forever.
18 seasons.
18 seasons, so you're coaching against another coach on the field. He's good at what he does. He knows how to manipulate the system. So I have to get one step ahead of him, calling the defense. Offensively, Coach Foster and I have sat down and got a scheme put together against their defense. The defense line's pretty good, aggressive. A secondary has some very good strengths, and they also have some weaknesses that we're going to attack. But overall, the quarterback's the leader on their team.
And you talked about the Tarpons' defensive line being aggressive. Can you describe how they are aggressive? What do they do as a unit that makes them a danger to opposing offenses?
They're different than Richmond, where the one of the linebackers will come every time. We just have to make sure we account for him with our fullback. We've got 2 or 3 fullbacks in this week we're working on. Since D. Berry's going to be playing both sides of the ball, he's going to need breaks here and there. So we got to make sure that wherever we take him from, we can put someone as good as him in that position.
Now, when they bring a linebacker, that means that more of the field will probably be open than last week with Richmond, where they put both linebackers in the coverage. That probably makes you happy as a coach, opening up the field for Darren Daniel. Do you believe that this game may be Darren Daniel's time to show the high country what he's all about now that the field will be more open for him?
I mean, Darren had 18 completions last week. Was it 18?
It was 18 for 139 yards.
He had 18 completions.
19, I'm sorry.
19, and he was scrambling on 17 of them. So if I can get him to set his feet, he's a very dangerous quarterback. And that's what my goal is the last 2 days, was to get an offensive line solidified around him to let him set his feet and find that open receiver. And there's always someone open somewhere.
And are you going to, with them bringing the linebacker pretty much every play, will the fullback be a big part of your offense this week, adding in that extra protection for Darren Daniel?
Yes, and we'll also add more run plays as well to get the pressure off Darren and to slow the defense down a little bit as well.
And I want to talk about what you're doing in the community to prepare for this game. Now, you're getting your name out there a lot more as the Grizzlies brand this season. I mentioned earlier that in one of my classes, I stand up telling people about the Grizzlies, get them to come out to the game, and one of them mentioned how they enjoy seeing the players go to elementary schools in the area and read to kids. That's just one of the many things the Grizzlies as an organization does for the community. Can you elaborate on what y'all have done this season and in particular for this specific game?
We've done numerous things, as far as we've been to almost every elementary school in the area for a car rider line in the afternoon or car rider line in the morning, helping the kids transition from the vehicles to school to vehicle. We've done 3 or 4 reading programs. I know Dom Hobney did one this week at Hardin Park Elementary School. We're going to try to get at least 2 or 3 of those a week, as well as getting to the after-school lines as well. There's other functions. We were at Blackjack's Friday night. We were in Ashe County at Hardee's on last Saturday. Whatever functions that we need to be at, we're going to be at. I want the people to understand that the guys here are role models, and they'll do whatever we need to do to help out the community, because everyone needs a role model in their life.
Now, I see that the players and coaches and the organization as a whole is helping out the community, but can you see the community in any way helping out the players with their mindset on the field?
We had a great crowd Saturday. No one left, even though we were down. In arena football, 14 points is no big deal. You can turn to 14 points real fast in a minute to a minute and a half. The fans were active. I interacted with them most of the game, them yelling at me. It was a great atmosphere, and we got a lot of feedback from them telling us that we see how close you are. We're going to support you because you're that much closer than you were last year, and they're excited for the future of this program.
And I remember on the broadcast with me and Grace Salter, when the Grizzlies made a play or any promotions team was on the field shooting T-shirts or something, we couldn't even hear each other talk with the fans behind us screaming. Can you just describe to the fans what the Grizzlies bring to the high country? The Grizzlies, this is their second season in arena football. This is their first season in the American Arena League. So you're still trying to get your name out there in the community. Can you just describe to the fans what this organization can do for them?
Appalachian State football is amazing. They've won numerous bowl games. They control the fall. What I want to do and what my ownership wants to do is provide Boone and the Appalachian area football in the spring. We want to take that market and just let everyone know there's football year round here. So you have Appalachian State football, you have high school football. There's no dead period now in the spring because we're here. And we're not going to go anywhere. We're going to be here for a long time. and we're going to represent Boone in a very respectful manner.
Well, the High Country Grizzlies will be playing the Florida Tarpons this Saturday at 7 at Holmes Convocation Center. It is college student night.
Yes.
It's $5 of tickets for college students. For D. Barry and Coach Scott Meserve, I'm Mackie Gallagher. Thank you for watching Inside the Coach's Den here at Swiss Mountain Village.